Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and we are back with the 6th round of the Reddit Championship Series. We've seen a lot of very interesting decks, and folks, we are cutting it down to the bone. Don't worry, the next couple of rounds, you will see Secret Slayers. For now, however, we've got two interesting decks with very innovative lines, and I am joined by an interesting Yugist with interesting commentary. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. It's Sir Emanon here. I tend to specialize in very long-form commentary on the competitive side of things, and I've been featured here before, but I also have commentated a lot of the Reddit Championship Series matches. It's been pretty fun with the absence, so far at least, in the feature matches of Secret Slayers, but we have to, be very, very happy and grateful that we have the diversity while we still can treasure it, because it won't be long before we, see a bunch of Synchro Eldritch just in every single match. But for today's matchup, we have pretty interesting decks, and we got Synchro Generator up against Endymion, which are two decks that we haven't really quite seen in the spotlight for some time.
Well, you know me, I have and continue to be an advocate of Pendulum Best Deck. However, I find this generator list particularly interesting. I've been looking for the best generator build, and what I like about the archetype is that no one really knows what that is yet. There are builds that incorporate Predaplant Verte Anaconda lines in order to go into Aramage Jasmine and find your way to Mardell. There's Cyberse starters. There's, of course, the now famous Girsu line that ends on True King of All Calamities and Jormungandr. There's even a Valkyrie version of the deck using Diviner of the Heralds that's topping in the OCG. This is unfortunately the least exciting of all of them. It has ported the Jet Synchron setup combo from Synchro Eldritch to another deck, thinking, well, you need a way to find the field spell. Drawing 6 or 7 cards is probably a good way to find it. Its opponent's deck is pretty exciting too. Endymion is a fantastic archetype, only continues to be developed as people put their minds to breaking these extremely broken cards. This one is playing Magician's Restage, which is all but becoming standard, something I never thought I would say, for a copy of Left Hand or Right Hand? The Spell Negator, I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah, that would be Magician's Right Hand, which is a once per turn negate your opponent's first spell card or effect activation.
Is it mandatory?
Yeah, it is mandatory, yes.
Oh, we're really hurting for negates, huh?
Yeah, but Restage by itself is rather interesting as an extender. It's just a straight up reborn for things like your Spell Magician of Prophecy or your Magician Souls, both of which are pretty integral components of the strategy nowadays. And the interaction with the Magician Soul specifically is that you would send the Restage to draw a couple of cards, and then Restage will get the search. So it acts as like an extender and like extra negation along the way, which I guess is a pretty cool for what it's worth. Endymion and Pendulum in general continuing to be a hit on Konami's ban list, every single list it seems. So just trying to find new ways and new cards to actually synergize with the also new tools like the Selene Queen of the Master Magicians, the Link Monster. Just trying to find complementary pieces is the only way forward for this deck.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so unintuitive that such a conditional extender has found its way into a deck that's all about cards being good in a vacuum. But I'm interested to see if it shows up in this match. Do want to, before we get started, shout out BearxBear is in this game again. Do check out their YouTube channel. There will be a link in the description. And if you want to see the other matches of the Reddit Championship Series that are not on my channel, they are on Sir Emanon's, which you can find after the video as well. Let's jump into this exciting game and see if we can, root for Pendulum one last time.
All right, and it looks like I do believe Pendulum did end up winning the die roll here.
Oh, that's huge. That's like the whole game decided right now. Okay.
Yeah, neither of these decks are playing a particularly large amount of hand traps. There is a singular Nibiru in Synchro Generator, but apart from that, not really too much. I guess there is also impermanence, but
This is kind of a
Looks
crusty
like
opener from the Generator player. One thing that kind of sucks about Generator is it has a tendency to brick on big bosses. And you can see not only has that happened, they've also drawn a 0-0-1. This is not what you want to see, and the Endymion player's hand is good enough.
All right, looks like Reflection is going to be placed in the scale first, followed up by a Citadel, which is there to, of course, hold counters and place a counter on the Reflection. Looks like next up is going to be an Instant Fusion for Millennium Eyes.
Just go ahead and draw your one-offs, yeah.
Just draw your one-off, draw your Hand Trap Insurance, why not? And get an additional spell counter along the way.
It really does play well around Bear's singular copy of Nibiru. Just a fantastic way to mitigate the damage that would be done by that card. All right, here comes the restage.
Yep, here we go.
Oh, hilariously, can restage get Millennium Eyes Restrict back?
I do believe it can, because Instant Fusion treats the monster as a fusion summon. So it should be able to bring back the Millennium Eyes.
Well, this is thematic, using the Millennium Eyes to make a copy of Relinquished Anima, as I think it was always intended to be done. Going to be followed by, a restage bringing back this copy of Millennium Eyes, and now we have 2 material, plus a Reflection, and a Magister.
Alright, so we got 4 monsters on the field, which can all be used to make Crowley the Link monster. This is primarily used to just access the spellbook engine. So we're going to see each of the 3 spellbooks being revealed.
And of course, Knowledge would be the punish here, but even that's not so bad. You can tribute something like a Millennium Eyes to get a couple of cards. Blue Boy is the correct card to get. You get to normal summon it, add a copy of Secrets to hand, use Secrets to get a copy of Knowledge, putting spell counters all over all of your field in the process. It's weird seeing this engine again. When Knowledge first came out, it was in everything. Everyone wanted to burn their normal summon for a Pot of Greed, and now it's only in decks where you get positive results from activating the spells.
Alright, so the draws here are going to be relatively crucial because we don't have scales, but we did actually draw an Abductor.
Must be nice.
Pretty good considering that we have a Citadel which hasn't activated its effect yet, I do believe.
That is correct.
So we can go ahead and add a copy of the Mighty Master, which will complete scales, and we'll see a Pendulum summon of both the Jackal King and... looks like... Oh yeah, Reflection can only be summoned once per turn, that's right.
And thank goodness for that. We do get to go into Selene, however. Selene is going to get, 1, 2, 3, 4 counters, and it only needs 3. Oh, plus all the spellbooks in the graveyard. Don't mind me.
And the Instant Fusion, so there's a lot there.
Alright, so we're going for the Mighty Master right now. Or the Magister, in order to get from deck a card you can... Or from Pendulum Zone, 1 card you can put things on. Oh wait, no, is this Magister or Endymion's effect?
I do believe it's Endymion's effect, and it's going to special itself from the scale and pop the restage, which will add the right hand.
That is extremely cute. They are having a quick discussion about how Citadel works. You can, in fact, remove any number of counters from Citadel itself. So we're going to fire the restage effect here. That's going to get a copy of Right Hand. Now we have the spell negate and further negation for spells and traps with Mighty Master. Activating a spell puts counters on this Jackal King as well. This is a ton of negates, and I don't think we've even used the effect of Selene yet.
We have not, so we are going to just special summon an additional body. Looks like that's going to be the Millennium Eyes.
And these are like pretty conditional negates, but they should do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of coverage, even though they're relatively specific. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about this one.
And a concede out of Bear. Bear drew a hand that included Jet Synchron and just couldn't play through it. I mean, it would have been met with Jackal King. It could have been met with Millennium Eyes Restrict and been equipped. I mean, that would have been a disaster. That was pretty impressive, but also showcasing why Generator very often fails to make top cut, despite the fact that the deck has so much innate power. It just bricks so badly. I mean, look at this hand!
Oh my. Well, looks like Summon Limit is going to have to be there. Now, to be fair, tuning, provided it resolves, which is going to because there's no hand traps, can also just draw a billion cards by itself. So drawing 3 of the bosses was never what you want to see.
I do have to mention, of course, the competing versions of Generator, the Dingirsu one, or the Little Gearsu one rather, the Cyburst one, the Valk one, they mitigate the downside of having too many bosses in your hand. The Jet Synchron build doesn't. So we're going to see just what the payoff is for all of this. I think the best case scenario is pitching one of the bosses to the Jet Synchron, later in the turn finding a way to special a Mardell, and using Quest to get another one out, but we'll see. The worst part of drawing stuff like Utgarda is you're only on one, and that card is so integral to so many of your interactive plays that you really don't want it to be rotting in the graveyard.
Alright, so you've all seen this before. Summon Jet Synchron, summon Linkuriboh, Jet Synchron effect, summon Halka-Fibrex, summon 001, go into Linkcross, use Linkuriboh's effect in Grave, and then summon Barricade Board Blocker, and then go into Auroradon. Well, which would, I would assume, be the play.
Ooh,
oh, he's going
this
to
is cute! So Borg can add a field spell from your graveyard to your hand. So if later in the turn they pitch a copy of, Boss Stage, they'll be able to get it back. It's also a nice way to get Har into the graveyard. If you're playing a minimum amount, you can use Hela's effect if you summon her off a stage later in the turn to get it on the next turn. It does not seem particularly good, but it is at minimum cool.
Yeah, and actually the boss stage was milled off of the tuning, so we will actually get value off of it.
That's cute. That's extremely cute. All right, we'll go into Olion here. You've seen this before. We'll go into TG Hyper Librarian. Let's start drawing cards, I suppose.
All right, here's cards 1 and 2.
Ugh. Ash and Nibiru. Oh, fantastic. Well, it's a little late to be finding that. I'm shocked he actually left it in.
Well, it looks like we're not playing Generaider anymore. We're just playing Hand Traps and Summon Limit Control.
1-for-1 is cute. It gets you access to another Synchro, depending on how these stars line up. We'll use Excel and the 3, that's what, 8, to go into a Savage. We draw another card off this, but I'm still not seeing a way to get to Boss Stage. Oh, that'll do it, but it requires your normal summon. Huh.
Yeah, it looks like we're just going to have to delay our Generaider game plan and hope that our Negation plus Summon Limit plus Ash is good enough.
Now, for what it's worth, it very much might be. You know, Borreload Savage Dragon is a heck of a card. Summon Limit is difficult to play around. Ash plus Nibiru will probably clean up whatever our opponent's doing, and then on our next turn, we can activate Boss Stage and normal summon Lopter. But, yeah, not a fantastic argument for this engine specifically.
Right, so if we're Pendulum, we kind of have to hope that we can force everything before we get to resolve Endymion to be able to pop the Summon Limit when it eventually hits the board.
So this is...
Mastery...
Yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, Mastery absolutely seems like it's going to fiend some kind of negation, but unfortunately it doesn't. They're just waiting. It says, I'm not going to activate Savage until I absolutely have to. And that's going to be right now, by the way.
Yeah, so evenly going to force the issue 100%. And it looks like we got a lot of scales, but not really a lot of power spells remaining after the use of Mastery.
Yeah, this is going to be hard. I mean, playing through Summon Limit is all but impossible for this deck. If it could just amass enough spell counters, you might be able to activate the effect of Endymion as your second summon, but it seems unlikely.
Right, and it looks like Souls is going to come down. And we'll see a copy of Chronograph. Chronograph will be getting the Time Gazer, and I imagine Summon Limit is going to be flipped up here.
All right, that's 2.
Probably going to be the end of the game.
Not even activating the souls. It says, fine, whatever. Jet Synchron on the draw. I think we're now out of targets for 1-for-1, but that's the end of the game. Lopter here can activate its effect to go into a Mardell. Mardell can get a copy of Quest. Quest can shuffle back the Dovelgus. We'll have a boss fight, a boss room if we're on it. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, just gonna clean up the board, do a fair amount of damage, and then presumably activate Boss Quest in main phase 2.
Oh, not even firing the Boss Quest.
Just go Boss Stage and call it a day.
I guess it's possible he didn't have targets for it, but I think it's pretty unlikely. We're going to get Har here because Summon Limit doesn't say monsters, it says times. We do get both of the tokens. We have 2 Omni Negates, an Ash Blossom, a Nibiru, and a Summon Limit. I do not think this is going to happen. That's going to be met with an Ash, of course.
And that is certainly going to be game, I would imagine.
All right. We have made it into a Game 3 scenario, but... as a seasoned Generaider pilot, we call ourselves the Generacists. I will let you know there is no way to clean up existing boards outside of drawing Nibiru evenly. Wow, look at that!
Well, when you draw nice, and you have tuning to back it all up. So provided that we can just nullify the entirety of this board, we can freely pop off next turn. We drew two of the best cards, starters in our entire deck. So
now
that is pretty. Must be nice. Must be nice.
It must be nice, but I don't actually know if it does it. You know, it's hard to say with any pendulum hand just how far they're going to be able to go. But if we use Magician's Souls, followed by a Spellbook of Secrets and a normal summon on Blue Boy, the Endymion's Servant is going to get to 3 extremely quickly. And under 4 summons, we can get a copy of Jackal King to our side of the field, negating the effect of Nibiru when it's activated. From that position, they can very much set up enough negation to beat the evenly matched on the next turn as well. I mean, Pendulum, despite the fact that it is such a bricky combo deck occasionally, its high roll hands can play through almost everything, including the cards specifically designed to beat these archetypes.
Yeah, and we see, I don't even think Mastery was drawn. It was just straight up drawing Servant there. So, you know, the best way to counter the very powerful Haymakers going second is to just draw your powerful one of.
Yeah, and there it is. Finding an allure means that we can trigger the Servant without having to commit to another normal summon. Looks like we're going for the Magician's Souls first on the Spellbook of Secrets. Just such a sweet piece of synergy. The restage afterwards is frustrating, but good enough. It will trigger the effect of Servant, and we'll go for the Servant now. If we go for a Jackal King, that might be the end of the game.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be enough assurance. All we have to do is place any scale, and we're good to go.
I mean, there's Nibiru, but there's 2 spell counters on the field. On Res of Summon, that's your 5th. He says, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and negate with Jackal. Thanks for the rock. Nibiru, unfortunately, is not activate once per turn. It is use once per turn, so won't be able to follow it up with the second one. All right, let's start Link Summoning. Whoa. Okay. Well, Daybreaker is a card.
Jackal already negated Nibiru, so I guess we can just link it away.
Daybreaker is a bit of a silly card, but it does put a spell counter on itself.
All right, so we're setting up scales here. We got Reflection, and we got the Mighty Master. We're going to Pendulum Summon back the Jackal and Blind Allure.
Oh, this is an easy one. All right, ready? I'm calling it. Hey! It's as easy as
Every
that.
time. Every time.
I've never seen a Pend player miss on Allure. Never in my life. All right, Jackal King back at negation ready status. That Reflection going up. I think we can safely link summon a copy of Selene from here.
Yep, Selene can gain a bunch of counters from the Spellbook engine, as well as the 3 spells that are face up.
Now, this Soul's effect is once per turn, right? And thank God for that.
Yeah. The draw effect, yeah.
Okay, so we got to use Mighty Master to get this restage off the field, but it's still pretty good. It'll negate the tuning, and suddenly Bear is not only left without the Haymakers necessary to clean up this board, they're left without their starters as well.
Yeah, so it looks like there's guaranteed negation for both of the spells here, and Selene will just bring back Reflection.
Oh wow,
which...
we're still going.
We're going for Vortex. All right, let's see if we go Cross Sheep into Vortex. Yep.
Wow, so Cross Sheep here triggers the effect of Absolute and Graveyard, of course, because it went to the graveyard. That'll summon a Vortex in defense position. Because that's a fusion monster, it'll trigger the effect of Cross Sheep to special from the graveyard. That's a 4 or lower, so Magician's Souls will be the target. Then afterwards, we can link those monsters away for another copy of Selene, who, fun fact, does not have a hard once per turn on her Reborn effect.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun and interactive. We get an extra negation for free there with the Vortex. And we get another revival on our opponent's turn. So how do you really beat this?
Okay, so this actually is beatable. Evenly matched number 1 gets negated by Endymion, of course. Number 2 would be negated by Vortex Dragon, but I don't think there's a face-up monster in the extra deck.
Oh, there's not. So, there's actually no way to negate. Oh, that's actually huge.
That's a disaster. All right, so here's the Mighty Master negate. We'll put the reflection back in the hand, and it's going to be met with the second evenly matched, and I think that's actually going to land. Vortex negate, he says. How do you propose to do that? Oh,
Yikes! So
no!
we didn't link away anything into something like an Appaloosa, so looks like we're just gonna have the entire board cleaned away.
Well, tuning is okay. You can negate the effect of the Jet Synchron in the graveyard with this copy of Jackal King, but the boss stage is going to turn into a horror if you just pass turn.
Suddenly, Generaider can actually win this game.
Wow.
So we have boss stage triggering.
Here come all the tokens. Now, fun fact, Generaider is one of those decks where you can activate Nibiru on either player's turn. All right, so there's Reflection.
Right.
If we trigger Reflection's effect targeting the Har, we prompt out the Har, and from there we might be able to OTK, but wow, this is just a disaster. Pot of Desires coming down with a 26-card deck. I can't imagine there's too much left in the deck that you feel comfortable banishing. Found a Restage and an Appointer. Just a little bit too late on that. Har's effect will trigger. This is an okay time to fire off the Jackal King. I mean, you kind of have to because you have nothing else in your hand or field, but that'll just be negated by the Har as well.
Yeah, we just don't really have enough setup. We don't really have scales. We don't have a backup plan for, once Jackal gets cleared here, and we're just relying off the back of this reasoning now.
Well, theoretically, the reasoning could do it. They're calling the Endymion effect, I believe. Going for 7, that hits Reflection and Endymion, but I believe we've actually seen one of the copies of Endymion already. Abductor is... It's not very good. I won't beat around the bush.
Yeah, I don't really know how far you can get now. This will bring the Reflection to 3 counters, but I don't think there's anything to summon with the Reflection because it summons from hand. Restage can bring back the Souls. We can Souls try and draw some cards as well.
I mean, it's got to be some sweet draws here. Pitching 2, he says, I'm throwing caution to the winds, don't need this Appointer. Spell Power Mastery is a heck of a card, and Magical Abductor is as well. This will actually trigger the Abductor all the way up to 3, but unfortunately it's an illegal activation. We will summon the Reflection. The good news is Reflection can be summoned with the Abductor, and then we can trigger the effect of Reflection to put that Har back in hand. But again, it's still an uphill battle to figure out a way to game from here.
All right, and we're also getting pretty close to Nibiru range because I do believe that was the 4th summon. So
this is
normal
the
summon
normal.
Abductor.
Did we normal this this Abductor over here? No, it was Reasoning.
That was Reasoning, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And they're going through the same thing as well. Just checking the logs. On normal, we'll fire off the Nibiru, and that likely is going to be the end of the game. All of these going to the face-up extra deck. Oh no, Nibiru comes down, and from here it's just an easy walk to victory by normal summoning a Jet Synchron. Oh no, this is a disaster for the Pendulum player.
Yeah, just the Vortex Blunder really ended up costing. It just nullified the entirety of the negation, and Spear Mode just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, like you really needed it. Normal summoning the Jet should be enough. 15 cards remain in the extra deck. We can easily go into a Dawn combo. Oh man, that is... just mismanaging the cards in the face-up extra deck is what cost this Pendulum player the game. They had it all the way wrapped up with the Vortex Negate, but back-to-back evenly matched, it looks like, is going to be what seals this one up, going from Halqifibrax into 001, going into Aurora Dawn, not messing with the link cross portion of the combo because you don't have the zones necessary. This is 4 or an 8 if you... get the copy of O-Lion, and that's going to be a concession from the Pendulum player, and a victory for Synchro Generaider. That is, I was not expecting that, I will freely admit.
Yeah, all you got to do against Pendulum is just draw a double Nibiru double evenly, and hope that your opponent doesn't have a negation for their Vortex. But yeah, this was pretty interesting as far as showcasing the Synchro sort of toolbox in Generaider. Still not entirely convinced what how good the synergy is as compared to the other alternatives that you mentioned, but we can at least see the raw power of just normal summoning just Synchron in 2020.
Oh yeah, I mean, it comprises the entirety of Tier 1 for a reason. Everyone, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you coming by and sticking with the Reddit Championship Series. We've got 2 more rounds of Swiss before we inevitably crown an Eldritch deck the winner of the tournament. I invite you to subscribe to Sir Emanon's channel to see how round 7 will play out. But at bare minimum, I will see you shortly with the final round of Swiss, round 8. Let us know if there's anything you want us to find in the comments. Again, field is dwindling, but we will do our best. Anything to add?
Nope, that's going to be it from us here. Just hopefully we'll have some interesting matchups before we, go into the what would inevitably I would presume be a pretty homogenous top cut. But that's going to do it for us here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.